So, money service business registration in the context of OTC trading is essential, and I've talked about that before. But the definition at the federal level through FinCEN of a money service business is very expansive, right? It's more expansive than what you see at the state level, money transmitter licensing, right? So the question becomes, do you have to also try to obtain or seek to obtain a state level money transmitter license? And for crypto exchanges, the general rule of thumb has been if you don't touch fiat, then you don't need a state money transmitter license, which is correct, which is by and large correct, with the exception of a couple states, which we'll get into. But for OTC trading, it's not always crypto to crypto, right? You have some indicia of fiat in there, and so the question becomes: are you acting as a state level money transmitter? And there's four points that I generally go off of to determine the test of whether or not you meet the requirements to become licensed at the state level. And that state level license, mind you, is really expansive because one state really only gives you the purview to operate in that state. So you're looking at getting all the states if you want to operate across the entire nation, which can be obviously expensive and time consuming. So 4 points that are key to the analysis. One, your company is neither the originator nor beneficiary of the transaction, meaning you're the financial intermediary, right? Which is number two. Your company is acting as a financial intermediary, meaning you don't own the actual crypto or the fiat that's being transacted. You're simply the conduit between two people transacting. Third is your company charges a fee for processing a P2P transaction. So think of like a Western Union or a MoneyGram, something like that, where they may take custody of the money for a moment, but charge a fee to transfer the money from one party to another, right? Are you acting as that financial intermediary and charging a fee for the conduit of that money? And then fourth, your company comes into possession of the funds, however short in duration that possession may be, right? So you take custody of the funds, right? But albeit for a very minuscule amount of time, but for the purpose of actually transacting or sending those funds to somebody else, right? And again, we're just in the context of fiat. So in my world, if you meet any of those four definitions, you're probably a state level money transmitter, which requires going to your individual state and obtaining licensure, the appropriate licensure, along with the appropriate surety bond and the like. And again, that license, so for instance, let's use the example of California. You get a license in California, that only gives you the ability to operate in California. That does not give you the ability to send a transfer from California to a party in Illinois. So as you see with like a Coinbase, right, you can see right on their website, they've gone through and obtained a license in each state because they want to operate in each state. And some states are obviously easier than others. Then you have the outliers of Washington and New York. New York having the BIT license, which touches just cryptocurrency, right, and would require the BIT license whenever you're dealing with cryptocurrency. A state level money transmitter license isn't sufficient. So at a minimum, if you wanted to operate nationwide, you're looking at having to get both a state level money transmitter license in each state and then the BIT license in New York. Now, one exception to this, and there's plenty of banks that will do this, and I'm happy to provide a reference or give you some information if you want to reach out to me, is if a bank sponsors you, right? So if you obtain a money transmitter license, say in one state, such as California, or go to Wyoming, where it's exceedingly easy, or in Iowa, which is another state that it's very easy, and the sponsoring bank handles custody of the fiat currency in your behalf, under that scenario, you're actually sort of grandfathered in on that banking license, and you're not necessarily required to go about getting the money transmitter license in each state. So that's really the ideal scenario because you're not going through the process with 49 different states plus the BIT license, which can cost you over $100,000, can take you 6 months or more, and generally can be tantamount to a lot of paper pushing and the like. So again, if you meet any of those four qualifiers in the context of an OTC business, you may be a state money transmitter and may require that state money transmitter license in one or more multiple states. The exception being if you can work with a sponsoring bank who would effectively act as your custodian or your custody agent for the currency that you're seeking to to transfer on behalf of other people. But again, one exception to all of this, as we saw with money service business registration, is if you are the owner of the currency. So if the currency comes to rest, or the fiat or the Bitcoin or other crypto comes to rest in the sense that you take ownership and you're transferring, then you're going to be exempt from not money service business registration, but money transmitter registration, because you wouldn't fall under one of these four qualifiers that I've delineated here. So if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to me, Adam Tracy. Check out the new website, adamtracy.io, and email me, adam@adamtracy.io. Happy to answer any questions you have and give you some advice on that referral bank if you are looking for one to get set up. So I'll talk to you.